What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the Fantasy Hustle. I'm your host, John G, with my co-host, Bradley D. And
hey, guys.
we got Stretton behind the ones and twos over here.
Hey.
Glad you could
I love
make
football.
It in today. Yeah. Woo.
You do love football.
Yes, you do. Quite an interesting week here. Quite a bit of upsets. And how'd you fare fantasy-wise, Brad? We're approaching playoff season here. Team looking all right?
My one league, I've been eliminated for the last couple of weeks and playing spoiler. And I did knock a team out that needed a win this week, so...
Well, it's good you at least have some fun in the game.
I was...
don't just
I did, yeah.
call it quits.
And I helped our good friend Matt, who has been on the show a couple times this year. He lost, but because of me beating the other guy, he backed into the playoffs.
That's a good friend right there.
Oh, yeah.
Good friend.
How about you?
Well, 2 leagues I'm locked in. What the fuck was that?
Is it like a UFO flying off?
Wow.
Sorry.
You may have shit your pants.
Are you sitting on some sort of thick piece of plastic to make that noise?
It's my new chair.
Jesus, somebody's sitting on a
Is that what
baby.
that is? That's the new chair smell.
It's not that new.
Guess it's yours, brother. Guess it's yours. But yeah, no, I'm in 2. 1, I should say 3, and then one of them I just missed by a points type situation here, 12 points. So kind of sucks. But I'm happy. Be rolling into the playoffs and hopefully be bringing home some cash here.
It's the best time of the year, man.
That's right. But speaking of it, we had a lot of teams that didn't help us out. Getting into the upsets this week. Cowboys topped the Saints 13-10 on Thursday Night Football. A lot of fantasy owners thought they were going to get a little bit of excitement there, but it was kind of tighten the defensive game, and Cowboys look pretty good. Definitely look pretty good. Jacksonville over the Colts in a snooze fest, 6-0. Jameis Winston, Zeddemore holds off Cam Newton and the Panthers 24-17. Newton chipped in with 4 interceptions to help slide out of the wild card spot. Eagles are lurking right behind the Cowboys, so that's going to be an interesting playoff race here. Wild card, to say the least. Cardinals upsetting the Packers 20-17, and Mike McCarthy getting the old.
Say hi to Hugh Jackson.
We'll see where he goes here and how Aaron Rodgers fares, and be interesting to see who's going to be coming in there next year. So crazy things going on there. One way to dump a shitty season. So thanks for your time, Green Bay. Can't wait to whip your ass at Soldier Field. Not me personally. They. And the G-Men hold off Chicago. This ODB passes and catches a TD while being a bit of a bitch during a crucial onside kick and almost costing his team the game. But, they got the W. Bears got the loss, and luckily they're still atop of the North with a loss, the Vikings to the Patriots, which we'll get into here later. But
real quickly on the Bears game there, I don't know about you, but watching that game, I was kind of thinking when they scored that touchdown to go down 1, I was thinking, why not just go for 2 here?
I thought the same thing.
You're so good in that 1 yard, 2 yard range.
Why not?
You just ran a play for 1 yard that got you a touchdown that was very creative. Instead of going to overtime and putting more pressure on your backup QB, which he fumbled 3 times on their drive, I just would have gone for it right there and said, screw it, I'm winning this game right here, right now.
No, I agree. I was cheering for it, and everyone was like, no, just get the PAT. And I'm like, I was waiting for Dickhead to miss it, but
That would have been great.
It was some nice excitement. I will say that. But, take them and you lose them, man. That's how it is. Philip Lindsay led Denver over a porous Bengals team in general. You lose Dalton 1 week, and then there goes A.J. Green. They're just not looking good in anyone who's coming up to them. I think Bengals are starting to lurk for a nice draft spot right there for what they can get.
Yeah, the ironic thing is since they brought on Hugh Jackson, they haven't won a game. Coincidence?
Surprise, surprise. Todd Gurley and the Rams continue their dominance against the NFC North, 30-16. And next up, Chicago with Sunday Night Football. Detroit, they've been a little bit banged up. Having carry on, I'm not saying he's a game changer, but he's a nice piece to have here when you're running the ball just with Blunt and Riddick on some third downs. Yeah. Don't really got an action there, especially Marvin Jones goes out. Galladay's a one-man show there, you know.
Yeah, Detroit, obviously Thanksgiving, they gave the Bears a good fight. They were in this game right up until the end there. Obviously the score doesn't indicate that, but they were giving LA all they could handle, and you hold LA to 30. That's a win most of the time, but you can't. You got to score more than 16.
Yeah, no doubt. Lamar Jackson did exactly what he needed to do, which is get Justin Tucker in the field goal range. Hold off a disappointing Falcons team. Man, I know their defense is, just lost guys week after week, but you thought they had a type of firepowered offense that can at least get you in some of these games, and it hasn't been the case.
And I think with Atlanta, there's definitely a coach that's going to be changed there, if not before the end of the season, definitely next year. Sarkisian just has been a complete bust there. He's got the weapons, and they're just not playing up to their level.
Yeah, no doubt. Ravens, on the other hand, jump into the wild card contention. Bye week definitely must have paid off for Harbaugh. I know had him on the plank out there, but he's showing that, hey man, he can bring a team together here.
They got a defense that could make the playoffs. I don't know with the quarterback situation if they can do anything then.
Yeah, just gotta get creative. Got to get creative here. Your boy ran Tanny. He put his tampon in and threw for 3 TD passes on a merely 137. Reminds me of like a Kyle Orton type game.
Yeah, it wasn't a great yardage game, but it did enough to win the game. And
they're still in the hunt, man.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic that is. They have Patriots and Vikings still to come, so it sounds like 2 L's.
Hey, we'll see. Pat Mahomes did what Pat Mahomes does and beat the Raiders 4-33 without Kareem Hunt. Be interesting to see how the offense continues against tough opponents coming into the playoff stretch. Without one of the league's best running backs, which we'll reiterate here a little bit more, that's a change of ridiculous proportions. You know what I mean? Like that happened Friday. I remember getting the text, you and Brendan, and I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy. And extremely unfortunate, man. I mean, just the lack of discipline that the guy's got. And now he's hunting for a new job, pardon the pun.
Yeah, and he's not going to play this year. He went unsigned.
There's always the XFL, though.
Yeah. What's that? The new league that's supposed to be competing with the NFL? And
no, that's the Vince McMahon one where you could...
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of actually allowed to fight women, I think, in that league. So
they promote that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But yeah, I think this Hunt thing it's a disaster for, the NFL. Really, I mean, it looks really bad on them for not pursuing this. And
no, that's awful. And
if you're a Hunt owner going into the playoffs here, you're screwed because Spencer Ware, even if you handcuffed him, Spencer Ware is not the answer. He's not going to get you what Hunt got you, and you got to hope this doesn't really affect Mahomes in the passing game. Obviously, 1 week it didn't, but it was Oakland, so we'll see going forward here.
Well, Charkandrick West just got signed. When those two guys were, backups, they were always the 2-3, and they always moved up to the role, and they excelled.
They were behind Charles for a few years there, and then West became the guy that 1 year, and then obviously Hunt last year. So these two guys are familiar with the offense, and they'll be, I would imagine, serviceable.
Yeah, definitely. Thoughts, Le'Veon? Interesting tidbit, maybe him going to the Chiefs next year. Could be interesting.
Yeah, this is the whole thing. The Bears are in that situation where you get a young quarterback and you build around them when they're cheap. And Mahomes is going to be cheap, so you go out there and maybe pay Bell a little bit more than you normally would, give him what he wants, because that might be your missing piece.
Definitely. And we'll see what happens here. We'll save that for the post-game show. But Pats hold off the Vikings, as we talked about, 24-10. Minnesota will have to bounce back against the strong Seahawks if they want to contend in the NFC North crown. Clearly, it's possible. They have, obviously, they got the Bears last game of the season. I think that's going to be a huge game.
Yeah.
And, aside from that, Seattle's kind of their last true test. I think they got the Dolphins, right?
Yep. They host the Dolphins, and then I think they got
Detroit one more time.
Lions,
I want to say. So they have a little bit of an easier road, I'll say, than Chicago.
But they gotta win this one because I don't know if the Bears. I think they beat Green Bay at Chicago, and then San Francisco is going to be basically a bye. So I don't know. obviously winning on the road's tough, but the Vikings still have to pick up that game
Yeah.
in order to make Week 17 interesting. And, this is a chance here with the Bears going up easily their hardest opponent of the year, no doubt about it, in the Rams.
Yes, this would be a good game to scale the Bears for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, like I said, be interesting to see here in Minnesota. They definitely have the schedule to kind of finish out and give a Bears a challenge here, making that last game of the season maybe the championship crown wild card spot. Ooh, splash, spot, scottish, puda, luda.
Luda.
Sunday Night Football. Chargers come back to beat the Steelers 33-30 with the third chance field goal to win it.
Yeah.
That's
And the big story coming out of L.A. is, Phillip Rivers is going to have another kid.
yeah, number 9.
Yeah.
Shit,
Good for him.
just fucking falling out of there now.
I mean, when you get the income they have, I guess you have many kids as you want. And he's got a lot of girls, unfortunately, so they won't be NFL quarterbacks. But you give yourself a better chance to have, like Archie Manning did.
At that point, you just give them all a number, right? Like,
Yeah,
or a
you
letter.
don't name them.
A, B, just make it simple.
There's a Philip Jr. and whatever his wife's name.
Yeah, or you just name them all like Foreman.
George Foreman.
Yeah.
They're all just named George Foreman, not Phillip Rivers. They're all named George Foreman.
Yeah. I wanted to make it a little different, so. But yeah, big comeback for him. Kind of interesting note. Steelers were 174-0-1 when they were up by 14 at home, which is
Wow.
kind of absurd here.
That shows you the Chargers are for real. They're a team to be feared in the AFC.
Connor went down also. I'm sure you're going to elaborate a little bit more on, and that definitely had an effect there. But yeah, the Chargers are a legit team, and think about this too, man. Without Mel,
Yep.
we'll see, man. Definitely going to be a contender here. I could see them upsetting one of these big teams, albeit New England or KC. They're the team that I think, and the Texans too. I mean, there's some good competition in the AFC, man.
Well, that division's not set. I mean, they're only a game back of the Chiefs right now.
Yeah.
And they play each other next Thursday night. So
That's going to be a fucking game, man.
yeah, that could be a division deciding game essentially.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Monday night game, the Eagles hauled off butt fumbler himself, Sanchez, and Colt McCoy breaks his tibula,
Yeah, one of those two.
wibula.
Yeah.
One of those things. You knew he wasn't going to last long, but he goes to IR, and only thing other to note on that is AP with the longest career rushing yard, 90 yards. Then that was about it.
Yeah.
You could tell the people were as old. The secondary is as old as AP because no one could even catch up. They're like,
Oh, a 90-yard
was running out of
touchdown
gas.
run. And so 90 yards on one play, and he ends the game under 100 yards total. That's not very good. You take away that one run,
yeah, I know. Awful.
he might have won people, a playoff spot with that 90-yard touchdown run. But thank God for that one run.
Thank God. Thank God. But given the momentum, Cowboys are hot and will be hard to catch. Be good to see at the Eagles. I mean, they're maybe a little bit too late, but
Well, we got that coming up this week, and there's a lot of good contests this week coming up in Week 14. Obviously, we're a fantasy show, but the NFL picture, the playoff picture for the NFL, it's very fun to look at, and it's getting interesting now. You got a lot of teams creeping up there in the hunt.
Yep.
And you got a lot of big matchups coming up this week here that are really going to, shake things up in the playoff race.
Definitely. And a lot of these teams, it all correlates the fact that these teams that are really in the hunt are going to play their guys even more. You know what I mean? You're going to see a lot more of their starters, and that goes even into the playoffs here. Coming into when teams start clinching, you got to start paying attention to that and realizing, hey, this guy's probably not going to take a bunch of snaps, but we'll get there in upcoming weeks. But after wrapping up that week, I'd say we get into the top players of Week 13 there, Mr. Brad.
Absolutely.
Starting off at QB, a guy who's not too shy on the top three, Pat Mahomes, 295, 4 TDs. Number 2, I think, guy's first time on the leaderboard here, Josh Allen, 231, 2 TDs. Yeah, he threw 2 away to the other team, but 9 for 135 rushing. That's up there with the top rushers of the week. you know?
That's been a big thing for the Dolphins this year. The quarterbacks teams can run on them, but quarterbacks have had a lot of success doing that. And That's the one thing Josh Allen can do, and he actually had a wide open receiver in the end zone for the last play of the game on a 4th down, and he threw him short, so Dolphins escaped the victory. But Josh Allen could have even had another 4 or 5 points right there. So unfortunately for him, but good for me.
Hey, someone made out, huh? But it was a poor week for quarterbacks in general. There's only a couple good highlights. I mean, even Russie coming in at number 3, 185, 4 TDs. Hey, he rushed for a couple yards, but who's counting when it's that kind of week?
He's been hot lately. He's and the last 8-9 weeks or so, he's 20 points or more. So that's a floor you want at a quarterback. And then if he gets you 30, that's great. But you really, really want that 20 to not just completely destroy your week. The only other guy I would even throw in here, hopefully we haven't seen the last of him because I just like saying his name, Nick Mullins. He threw for 414 yards, and a lot of it was
impressive.
Trying to catch up to the Chiefs. But I'm sorry, not the Chiefs. I don't even know who. I'm thinking Derek Carr, and he didn't. You know what?
Was it the Jets?
No,
They played the Titans.
That was the Seahawks. They were down big. They did have to play catch up. I'm sorry, everyone out there listening. But yeah, Nick Mullins, 414 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yardage is huge, I guess.
Yeah. Apparently your love for him is more. But
just like Nick Mullins.
we think that's what we've come to. Running backs, to get on another subject, Brad, Phillip Lindsay, possible offensive rookie of the year. 157, 2 TDs. Guy is not stopping, man.
No.
Got to give the guy a lot of credit here. He's going to be definitely a keeper that some people, if they get,
yeah.
man. What a great pickup here.
I said last week, when he hits that hole and he explodes, he did just that this week. He hit that hole and he exploded all over the Bengals.
No doubt, no doubt. Next guy really wasn't really known for his rushing, but as a running back, Tariq Cohen had 1 passing touchdown and 12 for 156 receiving. Not too shabby here.
Yeah, that's a huge game. That's what you get out of a backup quarterback. Chase had his good game against Detroit there passing wise, but teams are going to figure it out. They're going to find a way, and he was just looking Cohen all day long, and what you get as a running back, you get 12 receptions, kind of like we've seen McCaffrey this year. You're in for a good game because you're also going to get the rushing yardage, maybe a touchdown. Obviously, he threw a touchdown in this one at the end of the game there to essentially tie it up.
Yes, he did. Unfortunately, came up a little bit short. Number 3, a guy who's on it almost every friggin' week, Todd Gurley, 132, 2 TDs. Wonder if he'll be up here next week, Brad. What are you thinking? Playing the Bears, shot in the dark?
Not a top 3 performance. There's really good matchups this week for pretty good running backs that they're going to feast. But I think he'll be fine. He won't destroy. He won't win someone a week, but he'll be respectable for a running back.
No doubt. I mean, look at Saquon. He had a
decent
exactly. game. I mean, I think that was the big test of the Bears. Not to stay away from the home field over here, but I really wanted to see a measurable running back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, the studs are going to
who also had a good game.
Yeah, the studs are going to put up their numbers, but for the Bears to keep him in check, that's what you're looking at, and that's what they did to Barkley. They didn't let him explode all over and just light him up. I mean, it wasn't the Barkley show. They had to do other things. They had to get a little creative there with the Odell touchdown, but I expect the Rams' offense is obviously a lot better. They're a lot more high power. They're going to find ways to get Gurley going, and maybe it won't even be.
Now you got to look at Cooks too. Cooks is a quick
they got
little
a lot
son
of
of a bitch.
options
Robert
everywhere.
Woods. It's going to be an interesting game. The Bears definitely got to pick it up. Wide receivers. Keenan Allen, 14, 148, 1 TD.
He's finally coming around.
Yeah. Fantasy owners are definitely liking that.
Last 5 weeks or so, he's been
perfect time
he's
too.
been great. Yep.
Antonio Brown, 10 for 154 and a TD. Coming back to the Antonio Brown that we remember. You know what I mean? Then another guy who was like, who? Dante Pettis?
Dante?
You talking about Dante? No. 5 for 129, 2 TD.
There you go.
What team did he play for?
He was catching balls from Nick Mullins.
Coincidence. Oh, man. But, yeah, so those are my top 3 of the positions.
Yeah, and then you didn't mention he's a tight end, but pass catcher actually had the best game of all these guys, Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
12 catches, 168, 2 touchdowns. He was the top pass catcher this week, and he's a tight end.
I failed you.
He's a tight end.
Right in vote.
You just looked at receivers. I mean, go ahead right now, if you're listening to this, look at the tight ends that performed well this week and get a good laugh in after the top 3. It's awful. Tight ends are bad this year.
Well, the good guys, who dropped the ball this week, Brad, and who's going to be sitting on the bench because they're got a doctor's note from their mama?
Well, people were relying heavily on the Saints this year. Obviously you got Breeze, you got Thomas, Kamara, even Ingram. That's where I'm starting. I mean, they played Thursday night, and Breeze put up 127. He threw 1 touchdown and 1 pick, and we've been talking about him being neck and neck with Mahomes for the MVP, and I think this is a big black eye to that resume.
Definitely.
He can't come back from this unless Mahomes starts to fumble or starts to stumble down as well. So
Which he hasn't, even with his starting running back just getting taken out.
Yeah, exactly.
So give the kid credit.
And then staying with the Saints, obviously I said Kamara and Ingram both poor games. Michael Thomas, poor game. Worst possible time. As you're trying to get into the playoffs, these guys you've been relying on all year, crap the bed for you. Matt Ryan also had a bad game, 131. He threw a touchdown and an interception. The touchdown was to Hooper, so Julio didn't do much. Ridley, Sanu, they didn't do much for you. And then the other guy there, Tevin Coleman, 6 carries, 8 yards. That's following up last week.
Fantastic.
Following up last week where he had 8 carries for 6 yards. So he did a little better, but he's got 14 carries for 14 yards the last 2 weeks and just is a total bust right now. Boom. And then Andrew Luck's my last quarterback here. He has been so good. The last 7 weeks, throwing 3 touchdowns in each of those games. He didn't throw a touchdown. The Colts didn't even score a point. He threw 1 pick and only 248 yards. And his running back also struggled mightily. 8 carries, 27 yards. And that is it for the quarterbacks and running backs. Real quick, receivers. Galladay only got you 50 yards. Diggs, 49. Juju Smith-Schuster, 49. Alshon continues to disappoint the last 4 or 5 weeks since they got Tate, basically. Yeah. He's been non-existent. 3 catches.
A lot of mouths to feed there, man.
Exactly, yeah. 3 catches for 31 yards. And maybe the worst of all, Emmanuel Sanders caught 4 passes for 19 yards against Cincinnati, who receivers are feasting on. So that is the bad performances this past week that may have cost you, a first-round bye, a division title, a playoff spot. Now we get into the injuries that are looming into the playoffs here. As you mentioned, Colt McCoy's out. The only thing that does is now Redskin players are all going to be worse because obviously you got a third-string quarterback in there now, and it's Mark Sanchez. So I don't know how great you can feel about starting.
I still find it funny that Colt McCoy is above Mark Sanchez.
Well, and that could be because he's been with the team for so long and been in the system.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But you know what I mean? It's like Colt McCoy. Maybe we'll be better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think either way. Once Smith went down, this team was doomed. It's
not a good thing.
Yeah.
You're right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So McCoy is on IR now. He's done. We got big injuries at the running back position here. Connor and Breida both have ankle injuries. Both have already been announced. They will not play this week. So you got to find out who you go with here. I mean, big free agent ads are Jalen Samuels and Jeff Wilson Jr. for the Niners. Okay, moving on to the receivers. A.J. Green, as you mentioned. The turf toe gets him here. He's going to go on IR. He's going to have surgery, and he's done for the year. Christian Kirk also has a foot injury. He's on IR. He's done for the year. I don't know if you're relying on him, but I figured to throw him in there. And then tight ends get weaker. Greg Olson, plantar fasciitis. He's done for the year. So
G-Rick.
Unfortunately, Greg Olsen may have played his last game in the NFL. He just can't avoid the injury bug at this point. And
What's your name? G-Reg. What you do? Get head.
it might have ended his Hall of Fame. I would say Hall of Fame. I'm sure you would agree with me. Hall of Fame career.
He's it's hard to have a tight end who lasts and is as durable as he's been, even playing through foot injury like every year. He's not a guy who takes off the whole year. He takes off like maybe a third of it, and it's like, really? Like, you're coming back? So you got to tip your cap to that guy. Hell of a receiver. One of my favorite Bears that they drafted, I'd say, of my 20s-ish, you know what I mean? It was good to see him. I was a huge fan.
Oh, yeah.
Hard to let him go. Of course, they didn't get shit, but regimes are regimes, and sometimes they just do you bad. And tip my cap to Greg O, man. Fucking one of my favorite tight ends. And I love his hip-hop song. Check it out on YouTube, boys. But, yeah.
All right.
Right by the beach.
So that is week 13. Now, real quickly, here's how you get a hold of the show. You go on Twitter. You go on there. You find out who we are. That is at @fantasy_hustle. Go on there. Follow them. They're pretty good. They'll give you advice if you want it. They'll occasionally put some fun things up on their page there. You can look at. They'll tweet fun stuff. Just follow them. We hit 25 followers today. That was a big moment. I got a notification.
I found 25 different computers in my office, guys. I'm keeping it moving, man.
Yeah, so that's our Twitter. Go on to Twitter. You'll find our email, which I need to change, apparently, because I'm an idiot, and it's not been what I've been telling you all year. It's thefantasyhustle@gmail.com. Once again, thefantasyhustle@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can call us, 219-576-6797. Leave us all your love mail, hate mail.
Send us that hate mail.
Questions, concerns, comments.
Whatever you got to do.
Tell us how much you love Matt.
They want Matt back.
Who doesn't?
But what about Brendan?
It's too cold. hey, Stratton. Who you got?
Who you got?
Who you got?
Hi. Who you got? Who you got?
Who you got?
Oh, who you got?
Who you got?
What's in the box?
Who farted? Oh, Brad. Who you got? Who you got? You ready for this, buddy?
Oh, I'm going to tell you who I got.
Oh, I'm sure you will, and you're going to be wrong again.
Of course.
Well, let's see here. It's a little bit favoritism here. I got Jared Goff heading into the Windy City, or Lamar Jackson at Kansas City.
All right. This is obviously the matchup screams Jackson because the Bears have been pretty tough. The Rams are a warm weather team, obviously. They play a really high-powered offense, so maybe going into Windy City there, a cold day, might affect that offense a little bit. Ultimately here, what worries me about Jackson is he's not a great thrower. So you're really relying on him to get you points with his legs, and if the Chiefs key on that, that could be a problem. Also, the Chiefs actually have been pretty good before that showdown, that Monday night game against the Rams.
Yeah.
They were actually doing pretty well at shutting down opposing quarterbacks. Obviously, this past week against the Raiders, Carr had a pretty good week. And then 2 weeks ago,
5-0.
Against the Rams, obviously that Monday night game, Goff went off. So I feel like Goff is the safer play here. I think, the Bears. This is the big test. Obviously a few weeks ago we said the Vikings. That's a big test.
Mm-hmm.
But the Vikings offense and the Rams offense are two totally different monsters. I mean, this Rams team can put 30 up on anybody anytime, and if you're going to get 30 from the Rams, and that could be that's in the cards, I think, and that might be what the Bears need to win this game. So if that's the floor for the Rams, I'll take Goff here because he is, again, top 5 quarterback, all the weapons, high-powered offense, and Jackson, you're really relying on the legs, and I don't want to trust that right now. So give me Goff.
Okay. That's a good pick. you can't go wrong. He's got a lot of good weapons. So
Yeah.
I think when in doubt between Gurley and his two wideouts, he can do some damage.
All right, sir. You're gonna have a theme here.
Okay, I've noticed.
Your quarterback, Andrew Luck, at the Texans, or Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football at the Seahawks.
Well, we'll start out with Kirk Cousins. Cousins, he's not the QB that the Vikings thought they were paying what, $80 million guaranteed for.
Yeah.
He hasn't really proved it, man. And if he didn't have a lot of weapons and they were just bringing him in, kind of like the Redskins, because they didn't really have a lot of weapons there when he, his final couple of years. So it's like, you got all these toys around you, and you're not using them. Yeah, Dalvin Cook's been hurt, but I'm just not impressed. Let's just say that. Well, Seattle has not really fared too well against quality QBs, for one. And, well, that was like earlier in the year. They've slowly gotten a little bit better here, and their defense is kind of, they're in the playoff hunt right now. Something that they really need to kind of focus in on. Not saying Minnesota isn't, but, I think there's a lot on the line for Cousins. I think he's going to have a good game, but I just don't think it's going to be as good as Andy Luck. Andy Luck going into the Texans week 4, shredded them. 464, 4 TDs, and I think that he's going to be able to kind of pick them apart there. I respect Watt. I respect a lot of the guys that they got, but, man, Andy's just turned a lot of things around here. I mean, I know Jacksonville was a tough defense here, but you just got to shake that one out. Go back to the drawing board and figure out how to decipher these guys. So give me Andy Luck. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the Week 4 matchup because that's the thing there. I mean, Houston then and Houston now might be different, but if you can get 70% of that, that's a good week from Luck.
Yeah, definitely. Alrighty. Wide receiver, we got Mr. Lockett heading into Minnesota, as we were just talking about, or Allen Robinson at home against the Rams.
At this point, I wish we knew who was the Bears starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it was Chase Daniel, that gives everyone, maybe not named Tariq Cohen, a bump down. Mitch Trubisky would, probably give Allen Robinson a pretty good, be a pretty good option here for him.
Yeah.
The thing that I worry about is Aqib Talib came back this past week, and the Rams were actually doing well before he got hurt defensively, especially in the passing game. And obviously they were just dreadful when he was on IR, and now he's back. And they had a good performance this past week, albeit against a beat-up Lions team. But still, he comes back and holds Galladay in check, and they get the win there, and they hold the Lions to 16 points. So that is cause for concern with Talib back. And then the question about quarterback. So I'm going to go Lockett here, and the matchup here is not great. Vikings have been very good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Xavier Rhodes is one of the best corners in the league. They got a good pass rush. They can do a lot of good things defensively. But Russell Wilson has been so good the past 8 or 9 weeks. And just as we were talking about before the show, he's got the 24th most pass attempts, but he's 4th in touchdowns. And Lockett actually has been a guy that's caught quite a few big touchdowns.
Oh, and,
that's something he's always going to be capable of. He's a guy that can make that play. So if that is all he can get you, let's say he catches 2 balls, but one of them's a 50-yard touchdown, I'll take that any day of the week. If I'm really being honest here about these receivers. So I'll take Lockett just because Russie's been back to that MVP level he was at last year.
Definitely.
All right, your receivers here, sir. T.Y. Hilton at the Texans, or DJ Moore at the Cleveland Browns.
Alrighty, so I know we did talk about the Week 4 matchup. T.Y. Hilton at the Texans. I mean, it's a tough matchup. Like I said, the defense is strong, and the Texans are rolling. They look like a team that could honestly beat anyone in the... I like to see them matched up against the Chargers because I think that could possibly be, depending on seeding, where they're at coming in the championship. But, he didn't fare well last week against the Jags, and coming in with J.J. Watt, I think it's different coming from the quarterback perspective to the running back. Luck's going to know how to kind of spread the game out here, whether it was T.Y. or Ebron, you know what I mean? And, not being able to rely on Marlon Mack is going to just open up the more opportunities for T.Y. And having Watt and them back there, and I'm kind of crossing over, but because you got a couple Colts in your questions here. But
I wouldn't have you on the Colts.
Hey, man, you did. But I really think that his first thing that Luck's got to do is get the ball out of his hands and get it to somebody, and T.Y. is going to be that guy. Yeah, Ebron will kind of sell him through up the middle, but, he knows T.Y. is going to be the one he's going to be able to find. So at that point, I'm picking T.Y., but I'm not picking Moore because I'm just not sold on him improving with Cam's options there. Yeah, I know G-Reg went down, but he really likes McCaffrey and Samuel. There's other guys there, Funchess, and he's getting targets, but he's not making much out of them. So at that point, as a quarterback, and you're in wild card contention, you're going to rely on the guys who are getting you them yardage. So I just can't take more. And T.Y., man, he's done it. He had a hell of a week, 4 for 115 in week 4. So
Yeah.
imagine him.
I mean, T.Y. is the guy other than Ebron. As you said, McCaffrey's probably the best option there, but you have Funchess, you have Samuel, you have Torrey Smith. Just too many options there. Maybe Moore is just not the best option, as you said. That's a good call.
Alrighty, running backs. This was kind of a tough one. I kind of took it out of my personal stash as I'm in the playoffs here.
Oh, okay.
So I want your opinion here. Got Adrian Peterson versus the Giants, or Jamal Adams at Dallas.
All right, so we just saw both these running backs last night, and obviously Peterson had the better game, but that was in large part due to the, not
90-yard run,
part.
yeah.
That was 100% due to one run.
Yeah. All right.
Adams is great because he's a guy that gets volume. He gets pretty much all the touches, but all of a sudden Darren Sproles is back, and he got that touchdown down in the red zone, so that's cause for concern. And then, Smallwood and Clement have been, especially Smallwood lately, has been non-existent, and Clement's still getting his snaps and his touches and all that, so that is cause for concern. There's 4 guys there that are getting a lot of play possibly here and there. And then, of course, you mentioned the offense, why Jeffrey's been so bad. You got Tate in there, you got Ertz, you got Jeffrey, you got Aguilar still getting lots of snaps. So that's a big problem for me. There's so many mouths to feed there in Philly. Plus, Dallas is really, really damn good. They just shut down arguably the best offense in football in New Orleans this past week. They're at home. They've had an extra couple of days to prepare. Washington's coming off Monday night, so they have one less day to prepare. So I'll go Philly has one less day to prepare. Washington also has one less day to prepare, as I said, but Giants aren't very good at stopping opposing running backs. And we just saw Tariq Cohen, so maybe this means Chris Thompson's in for a good game if you go to that Cohen comparison. Yeah. But I think AP is going to get enough touches to put up some good numbers and do some things. Jordan Howard was having a pretty decent game in the first half, and then they went away from him.
Yeah, it was weird.
So if they stick with AP all throughout the first half and second half, maybe he has a respectable game. And ultimately, I think just because of all the mouths to feed there in Philly and the lack of mouths to feed basically in Washington,
Gotta roll
I'll
AP.
take AP, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with Adams.
Are you doing it now?
Yeah.
All right, do it now. All right, my last question here, running backs. No surprise, we're going against the Texans. Marlon Mack at the Texans or LeGarrette Blount at the Cardinals.
What Colt fan picked all these Colt players? Just let me know that.
It's not one team. It's just 3 different teams.
I can imagine.
I hope
the
you don't
irony.
have those guys.
Could have missed. Probably Michael. Anyway, as I talked about in the other ones, I really do think that the passing game is going to be solid. But as far as running on the Houston Texans, I just don't see that happening. Marlon Mack didn't impress me against the Jags. It's kind of been, I'll give him a credit. He had a little bit of momentum going for a couple games, but then all of a sudden it kind of dissipated, and I just don't trust him, especially with Hine getting a couple of the carries. There's a lot to be fed there, coming out of their backfield, more of a committee. Blount, he showed he got the carries. I know, him and Riddick, he went 16-8 as far as touches. but Riddick was more involved in the passing game. And given the fact that they were chasing the Rams, I understood that week. But the fact that he was getting that amount of carries and he's reliable on the goal line, he's going to get some PT. You know what I mean? Arizona's not a really good team.
No.
So I expect this to be kind of a solid game in my eyes. I know David Johnson, based on how they do it, Stafford's going to have to step up, and I think for that to happen, Blount's going to have a solid game here. Carry-on, assuming he's going to be out, so, you just have to roll with that one. I just don't trust Mac, man.
All right. All right, well, we have a specialty. Who you got here? Our three-time guest host texted me today and said, hey, who you got? Pick two of these four running backs. Spencer Ware versus the Ravens. Sony Michel at Miami. Lamar Miller versus the Colts. And Tariq Cohen versus the Rams. He needs two. He's in the playoffs. Go.
I'm going to go with Sony Mitchell for one. I think him against the Dolphins is a good matchup for him. And I think that at this point, if you're New England, I know it's going to be a tight game, division game, and you're going to have to use all options. You can't just do the air attack because Miami's going to step it up here. Spencer Ware, I like him, but with the West signing, I really think that West going to be in there getting a little bit more shares. May shift to a little bit more of a committee here. I like Tariq Cohen any day of the week, but this is a really big matchup here. And you're kind of wondering, is Mitch playing? Is he not? What's the game plan behind Nagy? Just a lot to comprehend all in one. And I really think that given the weather, maybe they go to that ground game. If their defense is holding up, I could see them shifting in the way Howard was running against some solid defensive linemen in New York. I mean, I'm not saying it's a team they're good on defense, but there's some, Olivia Vernon. There's guys there, that Ogletree, that can stack the box. So I'm gonna stay away from Cohen here, and I like Lamar Miller though. I think he's a good player against the Colts. He's got that fountain of youth because I feel like he's an old dog here just because running backs are,
27's old.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, you got to start planning retirement here. But he's shown that he can hang, and I think with the positive vibes and the win streak, this pushed him along even more. I know Deontay Foreman.
Yeah.
Freeman. He's just got
back.
Off the PUP list, so that's going to be kind of key into it. But he's still got one more week, man, and I think you got to roll the dice here. Next week's going to be a lot more, a lot better options, and you just got to go. Matt, just do it, bro.
All right,
Michelle Miller.
You're taking Michelle Miller. I could be a dick and give a good reason why to take Ware and Cohen here, just to not give him a good answer at all. But what I will do is I will take Cohen. He just put up a huge week. Obviously, he had a lot to do in the passing game. And this is one of those games where it's the Rams defense has been pretty good at times, and I think they're not great at stopping running backs. And I think this is the week that they really get exposed with a good pass catching back. And I think Nagy's going to be inclined to want to, show he's just as good of a play caller, just as good creative offensively as Sean McVay. So this could be something where
that guy, he can be used in so many different positions.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Cohen's going to be heavily involved in not just running the ball, but pass catching and all that, and just all kinds of weird things. Maybe a little wildcat here and there. And I think Cohen's in for a good week. And right now, of all four of these guys, he's the hottest going. He's the one that's been most solid the whole year. So I'll take him. And then I'm not going to take Ware. I'll cross him off now. He doesn't do a whole lot for me right now, especially against this Ravens team that might be
surely not like Pax and Theo.
2 weeks in a row you brought them up. But anyway, the Ravens, they're right there. You can make a case that they're the best defense in the NFL. So I'll stay away from them. If you go on our Twitter, I'm not a fan of New England running backs. Michelle is obviously a New England running back. there's so many mouths to feed in that backfield. Burkhead's back. James White's there. You have, gadget plays with Edelman or Patterson. So it is cause for concern, but ultimately the Dolphins are not good at stopping running backs. They've been eaten up by several different teams this year. So I think Michelle will be in for a nice game here. Don't expect a huge game because of all those other options. And, of course, there's James Devlin taking 1-yard touchdowns away from these guys as well. So, but at the end of the day, Dolphins aren't very good. And I just don't trust Lamar Miller that much right now. He had a decent week, another 100-yard game for him, but I think he's going to come back down to earth against a pretty good Colts defense. So I'm going to take Michelle and Cohen in this one.
Respectable.
So I think Matt's going to play Michelle for sure, right?
He's got to go Cohen. He's got to go Cohen as a Bears fan. I know how it comes.
There you
through.
go, yeah. You want to root for your team.
Do it, Matt. I don't want to let you down.
Oh.
That's the alarm, folks. That's the alarm. So now we kind of want to get into our top players for the week. Who we think is going to have the best weeks, quarterback position, running back, wide receiver. So going into this, Brad, who do you think your top quarterbacks are going to be this week?
Oh, this probably isn't going to be much of a surprise. I think it's pretty obvious. Phillip Rivers is a guy that should have a huge game. He just had a very good game against Pittsburgh. He's been very good this year. He hasn't been top 5, but he's been right on the cusp in the top 10 area. So it allows me to pick him, I guess. So I will take him because Cincinnati is god awful. The next guy here, Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to go with him. He's a stud by name. Like you think, oh yeah, of course you're going to pick Aaron Rodgers, but he hasn't been very good this year, and lately he's been brutal. But I just think McCarthy gone, Philbin coming in, there's going to be a little lift for at least one game, and they're playing Atlanta at home, so I think Aaron Rodgers and that passing attack is in for a huge game. My sleeper would be Case Keenum going to San Francisco. If you're in just a terrible situation for quarterback, you need a stream maybe. This is the guy. I think San Francisco is not very good at any facet of their defense, and they only they've allowed 27 passing touchdowns this year, and they've only intercepted 2 passes. So that's a good recipe for Keenum to have a pretty good game.
Most definitely here. My first one, I'm going to go with Matty Ice. I know Atlanta just hasn't done it, but I think going into Green Bay, you just fired your coach. You just lost to the Cardinals for the first time, and it's not too shabby over there for him. So I don't think that Rodgers puts it together here, and whoever's going to take over the reins, I don't think they can get it in time. And I think that, at that point, Matty Ryan just has too good, albeit Sarkisian sucks, but too many weapons there to kind of make things work in the huddle if they got to audible and make, throw out some hot routes. My next guy, I got to go with Tommy going into your neck of the woods in Miami. I know it's a division game, and I know Miami's they're in the hunt, but I really think that Brady's just going to have a really good game here. You know what I mean? Not to say that he doesn't have good games all the time, but I've been talking about all the weapons are getting together here, kind of getting their routes healthy. Running backs are kind of back. I like to see what's going on. Spiteful as it may be as a Dolphin fan. Adios, Brad. And my sleeper of the week, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. I don't think KC really knows what's going to go on. I know their defense has played solid against a couple teams here in the past couple weeks, but Lamar Jackson has shown that, albeit he may be a 6-gamer and then all of a sudden teams catch on to him, I don't think KC has the skills yet to catch on to him. And I think the way the Ravens defense is playing, it's going to help them out here. They may be the team. It's honestly my upset of the week here. So, and that's my 3 top quarterbacks, brother. Going on to running backs.
All right, my number 1, I'm going to take a guy who's probably on your waivers right now, Jalen Samuels, going to Oakland. The Steelers have been a team for the last, 5, 6, 7 years under Tomlin that just feed one guy. So I think he's going to be that guy. Obviously, Connor will miss this game. Oakland is dreadful at stopping running backs, so give me him here to have a huge game. The Patriot that I really like this week, obviously I did pick Michelle, but I think James White is in for a big game. He's still the best pass catching option here, and he's going to probably be in for 8 or 9 receptions, and that could be good enough for 70 yards and a touchdown at least. And then lastly, I just talked about him. I'll stick with Tariq Cohen as my third guy.
Good pick. Glad to see you on the Chicago side here, my man. I'm going to go with Sony Michel as my number 1 here going into Miami. I think the Patriots are going to do some damage there. And I think that, albeit there's mouths to feed, he's going to be the guy you're going to want to rely on here. I also like Gus Edwards. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to have a solid week here. The Gus Bus is going to be able to pick things up at Kansas City here. And I think in order to get past this tough offense and, extremely offensive-minded team, Gus Edwards is going to have to be at hand here. And my last guy, crappy as it is, I got to go with Joe Mixon. I know the Chargers have stacked up on some teams, but he's kind of a sleeper in my eyes because a lot of people are going to bench him, given the fact that Cincinnati's offense is just awful. But just got a strange feeling that Joe Mixon's going to pull things out, and that is a damn panic right there. A damn panic. Getting in to our top wide receivers, Brad, who you got?
All right, my number 1 guy, he's been really good since joining the Dallas Cowboys, and that's Amari Cooper. He's been targeted a lot. He's caught a lot of those passes. He's had good performances. And now they get Philadelphia, who are awful. They have nobody left in that secondary that's worth a damn. So he's in for a big game, and this is a huge game. I mean, it's basically a battle for the division already. And if Dallas wants to win this thing, they got to get him going, and he will be a huge part of a Cowboy victory. Guy just had a huge game. He was in our top 3, so I'm going to roll with him again, Keenan Allen. I talked about Phillip Rivers having a big game, and I like him a lot, so go with his best receiver as, Keenan Allen is, as also having a huge game. Lastly, I'm going to...
It's like you just ran a fucking 400, bro.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That was...
You dropped the baton.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I'm ready. Lastly, I'm going to do it again. I'm an idiot. I'm going to fall for it one last time. Jarvis Landry. Why the hell not? Panthers have been so bad in the secondary. They fired, a couple of their defensive coaches, including, I think, their, secondary coach. So this is a team in disarray right now. They've lost 4 straight games, the Panthers have. Baker Mayfield's been pretty good lately. So I'm going to take Landry one last time. He finally did something this past week. So I feel like it's going to continue to flow here for him.
Okay. My number 1 I'm going to go with here is Emmanuel Sanders. I know he just had some awful weeks and he's got an awful quarterback, but going into San Francisco, there is some sort of resilience that this guy's got to fucking pick up. He's unbelievably due, man. Like this guy needs to have a good week, and I feel like this is the stat game per se for them. And I think if they want any chance to try to even make an appearance in the playoff hunt, then they really got to step it up here. Mike Evans, I like his matchup against New Orleans. It's always a good game watching Mike Evans go against their secondary here, which is pretty weak. Jameis Winston and him are starting to get a little bit more of a connection, which I think is good for Tampa Bay per se, because the Fitzmagic ain't going to last forever as a backup. And my last guy here, a guy who has got a tough matchup, but I got some faith in, is Tyler Lockett. I like Tyler Lockett against Minnesota. He's shown that he's Rusty Wilson's favorite target. Even with Doug Baldwin around, I mean, Lockett's just shown that he can handle it. And I know you mentioned that, it just takes that 150-yard touchdown pass, but it seems to happen every game.
Yeah.
So you got that to rely on at least. But there are some solid wide receiver matchups that you just got to roll with.
Yeah, real quickly on the Evans point there, I did see today, I got an alert that Tampa Bay fears Jackson may be done for the year. Deshaun Jackson, that is. So
feed him.
that's one less guy for Winston to throw to.
Humphrey owners, go get it.
Yep. So that is top 3.
Top three. Well, Brad, now let's get into our top picks of the week here.
You are currently 3 games behind me.
There's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
I'll take it. I'll take it, man. I'll take it where I can fucking get it. Alrighty, Brad. Thursday night. Pretty shitty game, but it's teams that kind of surprise you. So it could turn out to be like a nice battle.
Yeah.
Jaguars, Titans.
Yeah, we've said all year Tennessee is really up and down. They do, have good weeks, have bad weeks. And then Jacksonville, they had that long losing streak after a pretty good start, thinking, okay, they're going to go back and they're going to compete for a Super Bowl chance again. But they fell apart, and then they went out there and just laid the whooping defensively on the Colts. So I think they're going to ride that momentum, and Jacksonville is going to go into Tennessee and get this victory. Fournette will be back this week, so maybe the offense will be a little bit better. And Cody Kessler is going to lead them to victory over the Titans.
Yeah, this is my comeback game here. I got to go with the Titans. I think Corey Davis needs to have a big game here. I know that the Jaguars kind of picked it up in Indianapolis, and they may have a little bit of momentum, but I don't trust Cody, man. I just think it's and you can't, you got to give the Titans some credit. They've been decent this year against some tough teams. So when they need to show up, man, they have shown up, but fortunately, they just can't keep it pretty consistent. I go with the Titans, man. Saints going to the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers obviously just had a pretty big upset against the Panthers, knocking the Panthers currently out of the playoffs. And week 1, they had a big upset over the Saints at New Orleans. But I just think the Saints have everything to play for. The Bucs really don't have a whole lot to play for. Breeze gets back on the right side of his MVP race. So I'll take the Saints to win this one.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Bucs. I think it's maybe a little bit of a bump in the road that Drew Brees may not be able to get off on here. I like Breeze. I think he's having a great campaign here. I know he's slipping away from the MVP race, but I really think that Buccaneers have nothing to fear here right now. You know what I mean? They're just out there to just ruin division foes' picks, and this is mainly based on I need to catch up to you. Panthers going into the Browns. Gotta roll the dice, Brad.
I'm picking the upset here. I believe Carolina will be favored, even though they're on the road. But I think they're not that great of a team. I think we kind of thought at one point they were 6-2 or something like that, and they looked really good. But they barely escaped the Giants thanks to Graham Gano, and they just have not looked that great. Outside of McCaffrey, they don't have a whole lot on the offense that really make you worry. And now Olsen's out, and Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland has been. Baker has been doing some things the past few weeks, and I think
no more toilet flushes for the Cleveland Browns, huh, Brad?
I'm gonna this 1 week here. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. Cleveland's still in the toilet, but I think they're gonna win this game at home. Carolina's reeling a little bit, and Cleveland finds a way with Baker having good success.
I look for a bounce back from Cam. McCaffrey, I do respect Cleveland's secondary and where they're headed now, but I got to go with Cam. Got to bounce back. Giants going into the Redskins.
I guess I'm going to take another upset here. If the home team's favored, I'm taking the Giants because I think Sanchez is not going to do anything. I think the Giants will be able to shut down that passing attack pretty easily. If you can keep Peterson in line, they should be in for a pretty easy contest. And let's face it, you got Barkley, Odell Beckham on the other side of the football.
Superstars, man.
Yeah, guys that can win you games. And, the Giants are just going to continue to ruin their shot at finding Eli's replacement with continued victories and screwing their draft stock.
No, I got to agree with you there. Giants definitely got this one. Redskins are falling apart, and when Colt McCoy's starting over you, you got a problem. And when you're known as the butt fumble guy.
The butt fumble.
Although he was on Chicago. So I can't say too much.
Sanchez.
Well, Falcons going into the Packers.
These two teams they're a mess. They have good offenses that have struggled at times this year, and you got two MVP quarterbacks going at it that have really nothing to play for. They're both pretty much out of the playoffs, and I think in that situation the Packers will get a little bump from the new coach coming in, Joe Philbin, and taking over. Maybe the play calling changes a little bit, and Aaron Rodgers finds a way to win this game against a very bad Atlanta defense.
I'm going to go with the Falcons here, and although the Falcons' defense is bad, they did just lose their coach, and Philbin sucked. You should know the guy.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah, you know the guy. So I just think that the Falcons put it together here and kind of add to the demise of Green Bay, just to kind of, let it be known that Rodgers is a little bit at fault for this shitty season.
Hey, that's fine. They get a better draft position, get a really good defensive player.
I don't give a shit. We're going to be champs. Jets at the Bills.
Okay, Jets are awful. Bills are respectable. So I'll take the Bills on this one. Cause
I got the Bills too. Yeah,
I think Allen will find a way to win this game with his legs. Or with
Jets.
his
I
arm.
think the fireman just retired himself.
How about the Bills today releasing Kelvin Benjamin? We didn't talk about that.
Because it's not really worth it.
Kelvin Benjamin.
About the Benjamins,
he was like
brother.
a solid receiver too. 4 years ago?
Yeah, really good.
Now he's out of the league.
Yeah. Patriots at the Dolphins.
New England does struggle going to Miami. They've lost 4 of the last 5 years, and when the games are late in the season, they're even worse down there. So that gives me a reason to think Miami can win this game, but ultimately I think this year New England finds themselves in a fight for a playoff bye. In years past, they've pretty much had them wrapped up, so they can afford a loss in December. This year, if they lose this game, New England will be looking at that 3 seed, and they can't do that. They cannot win 2 road games in the playoffs. So I think New England's going to win this game, although I do believe the Dolphins will give them a fight.
Doubt it. New England all the way. I preached on how I think that Michelle and Brady's going to have some solid games, including the receivers. So maybe Gronk's going to have a solid game too. Definitely do. Ravens heading into the Chiefs.
This is great offense versus great defense. Last time we saw Kansas City go up against one of the best defenses, they destroyed the Jaguars and sent them in a spiral down. So I think the Chiefs, even without Kareem Hunt now, they're going to they're just so good offensively. They have so many weapons, and I think they're going to win this game. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid find a way.
I think that the Ravens are playing pretty tough here now, and I think that this is going to be a good test for them, especially at the wild card spot. You don't got really a lot to lose here in that tough division, and I know that the Dolphins are behind you, but you never know what could happen here, right, Brad?
Right.
But you're right with Harbaugh. That bye week definitely paid off, and I think that their team looks pretty solid. I know Lamar Jackson is not the future. He's not going to be throwing for 300-plus yards, but he's doing what he needs to do right now, and I think he's going to take that in and surprise Mahomes. I think this is the game where you really realize, man, Kareem Hunt is missing in this offense. Colts going into the Texans.
Colts were exposed there this past week, being easy to shut down outside of Ty and Ebron. They don't have a whole lot in that passing, especially outside of Ty as outside receiver guys. They don't have a whole lot. So if you can key on that, if you can get one guy on them, I think you're in for a good time there as the defense of Houston. So I think Houston's going to continue their streak here. They're going to continue to roll. They got a lot of things going. They got a great offense, great defense. And at Houston is the big reason why this game is the Texans to win.
I do like the Texans here. And only problem is I feel like Luck's going to have some luck, I guess. Pardon the pun. Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
I was waiting for the sound effect there.
I don't got one.
Boom, 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 boom.
We're cheap here, folks. But no, honestly, I think the Colts are going to hold up here. I think Luck had a huge game, and Luck's been playing pretty solid. He's not out of the line, and they're not out of contention in that sense. I mean, they're right there with the Dolphins, and I think that once like me throwing that in there just to.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. They're 6-6.
Hey, it is what it is, brother. Sometimes you just got to deal with it.
And they'll probably finish 8-8 and have the 17th pick in the draft.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Give me the Colts, though, man. I'll quit wasting your time. Broncos at the Niners.
Broncos pretty easily here. I think the Niners aren't very good. Denver is kind of rolling right now. They need this victory to stay in that wild card picture, and they're not going to lose to the Niners. I can tell you that.
Let me go with the Broncos too. Bengals going into the Chargers.
This is really easy. Chargers are on fire right now. Bengals are
suck.
awful.
Yep.
Chargers need this. The Chargers will win at home.
Definitely Chargers lock. Lions at the Cardinals.
I'm going to take the Cardinals, actually. I think the Lions the last 2 weeks have had really good performances against really good teams, two of the better teams in the NFC. And they're going to have a letdown going out there to Arizona, to the desert. And, Arizona's going to find a way to, screw themselves out of the number 1 pick with this victory.
I'm going to go with the Lions here. I agree with you, saying that the Lions have had some stiff competition, and they've played well. They haven't laid down. I'll give David Johnson credit because he has been showing up here, but bottom line is Lions are the way to go here. Eagles at the Cowboys.
I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Amari Cooper that Dallas will win this game because they're going to feed him a ton of targets and he's going to catch a ton of balls and have a huge game. And then, they have Ezekiel Elliott as well, destroying that terrible Eagles defense.
Yeah, I really like the Cowboys here. I like the way the Cowboys are moving here, and they could be a dangerous playoff team.
That Cowboys defense is looking better and better every week. They got 2 young, really good linebackers that can do it all.
Steelers at the Raiders should be pretty easy here.
Yeah, it's the Steelers all day. Yep. No Connor, no problem.
Adios, Gruden. One of my highlights of the week, which I'll be attending, the Rams at the Chicago Bears.
All right, this is it. This is... a couple weeks ago we talked about the Bears' biggest competition so far, the Vikings. This is even bigger because this is a Rams team that's currently number 1 in the NFC, and if the Bears want to sniff a playoff bye, they got to win this game. They got to win out, basically. And, this is a great offense versus a great defense. And is it a great defense? We will find out this Sunday. And I think they're going to prove that they are a very, very good defense. Ultimately, I think this is one of those games that I don't think Mitch is going to play, and if he does, he's not going to be the same Mitch. He's not going to run the ball around the way he has done, and that's what has ultimately been the reason for his success, is those running yards. So I'll take the Rams to win this one in a very close contest because I think they get the ball last, and you trust Goff and McVay to find a way to win the game.
What's the score?
34-31.
It's a nice score. I got to take the Rams also. I love my Bears dearly.
Mark it. First time in 2018 he's taken the Bears' opponent.
I think the Rams are very tough, and I think that the Bears are going to show, it's about showmanship this game. And I'm not saying that after, they play each other at the NFC Championship or in the playoffs that they will lose again. But this is the first time, and the Bears are not prepared, and I think a lot of it is in part to Mitch Trubisky. Like you said, their defense is tough, very fucking tough, and their quarterback, if he can catch the goddamn ball, the backup, that is, chase your cousin.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to get a ball thrown at me.
Yeah. So, deep down, I know that they compete, especially coming back, given the circumstance and just where they were at in that Giants game. But bottom line is, man, the Rams are fucking tough.
Yeah.
And they'll have their chance back at them. They'll get a rematch, but this one's going to go to the Rams.
I think the one thing neither of us mentioned here is we get to watch the 2 best defensive players in the league in the same game.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack are clearly the 2 best guys. They're the 2 guys competing for Defensive Player of the Year, and who's going to make more of an impact on this game might ultimately be the reason their team wins this game.
Oh, I'll be blackout drunk for sure at the game, and I'll DVR it because I got the next day off, so I'm gonna wake up, fucking get me some breakfast from 339 here in downtown Hobart, Indiana, and go back and enjoy myself some Chicago Bears rematch. Unless they lose, of course. I'm like, yeah.
Then
delete.
you'll. Yeah. But it'll be a fun game for sure, and this is a good game to flex into the Sunday night game.
No doubt, no doubt. Vikings at the Seahawks.
So if we're correct, the Vikings are going to sit here and say, hey, we got a shot to get within that half game now. And they're going to put all their chips on the table, and it won't be enough because Seattle's playing really well. Russell Wilson, I believe, if not from a Mahomes monster season, is a legit MVP candidate. And I think he's going to continue to roll. Cousins has been bad of late, and I think that continues as well. So give me the Seahawks to win this one and keep the Bears up a game and a half.
I really want to go with Russie, but I think that the Vikings are going to have a lot to play for here. Given the circumstance, if I'm saying the Bears losing like you're talking about, they got a lot to play for to get even closer here, and that's what they want.
Well, if the Bears win, they have a lot to play for. They can't fall 2.5
Well,
back.
nonetheless, they have a lot to play for, win or lose. And the bottom line is I like the way Seattle's moving here, but I just think that the Vikings, Kurt's going to pick it up here. He knows when he's got to do it, and this is what that money's about. So, unfortunately, I got them Vikings, man, going over to the Seahawks. Russie, do your best, motherfucker. Prove me wrong. I don't mind losing. That's cool. It's cool.
All right. Well, that is our Week 14 show. Good luck in your playoffs. If you're listening to us, we appreciate it, and we hope you win because you're listening to us.
And get a job.
Yeah, I mean, find something better to do with it. No, actually, keep listening to us. We want you to listen. We love you guys listening.
No, we do, man. And
But call us, text us, or not text. I guess you can't text us, but tweet us.
No dick
email
pics,
us.
all right?
Not yet. Wait till we get a little bigger. Wait, what?
Oh, boy. All right, guys. Peace.